Are we ready?
Yes.
All right. Without further ado, Steve and Dave.
Well, that was nice, short and sweet. All of a sudden, let's go.
Testing.
Are you on?
I'm on.
Hey, gang. Thanks, by the way, for coming and hanging out with us. And we're going to have some fun. We're going to show you a lot of different... We may have to play with the lights because we're going to have some videos to show you and different things to go through. But really quickly, out of everybody here, is there anybody who hasn't seen our show, Ghost Hunters? You have not?
Over here, a couple.
Okay.
All right.
Good. Well, just to let you guys know what we are up to, what we do. We're from a team called the Atlantic Paranormal Society, and we were lucky enough about 15 years ago to star in a television show. And we go around the country and we try to disprove hauntings. And sometimes we are successful, and other times we're not. And when we're not successful, that's when we tend to look at other scenarios. You know, we sort of think that if you can disprove everything, right, what you're left with has that much more validity. So that's why we do that.
It's fun to disprove.
It is fun to disprove. Tango and I actually have more fun, I think. Well,
because you can always disprove any time.
That's true.
You can't always get a ghost to come out every time, so it keeps you busy with investigations.
And when we disprove things, we get just as excited as when we have activity.
We really do.
We really do. We'll
solving puzzles.
It's exactly what it is. We'll high five. We'll do all kinds of stuff. But it's the times that we're not able to disprove where it becomes really interesting. And sometimes we're not necessarily disproving things, but we run across scenarios where we inadvertently disprove things. We were at a place called the Queen Mary investigating, and that's in Long Beach, California. Anybody familiar with it? I'm sure, yeah. And we were told at the beginning, and Tango, actually, we both gained a lot of weight that week because on the ship there's a place called California Shakes, and I think we went there like 4 times a day.
Banana chip.
All the time.
Banana chip shake.
Yeah, the banana chip shake.
Morning,
yeah.
noon,
It was true. We would be
midnight
late.
snack.
We would be late. What they call it's called a call time, you know. But we would be late, and they'd literally come to the shake stand. Be like, guys, we were starting 10 minutes ago. Well, blame them. They're taking too long to mix up my. Just kidding. But in any case, we were there investigating, and this is a bit of a testament to Mr. Tango, because he is a bit of a genius, and I'm not saying that because he's here next to me. Okay, I'm saying it because he's here next to me.
Give the money later.
I know, yeah. But in all honesty, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have found this. But this place, it's a huge ship. It's in Long Beach, California, and it's beautiful. But right away, I knew something was a little off, because while we were given the tour, this woman, I won't say her name, but if you watch the episode, you'll be able to find out. First thing she says to us is, I hear this ghostly music, and it's in my book. There should have been the first flag, you know, trying to sell books. But it's in my book, and we have no idea where this ghostly music comes from. I said, you don't? Okay, great. And all of a sudden I hear a quartet playing, strings, the whole thing. And she starts to, that's it, that's the music that we know of. It's ghostly, I've never heard that before. I said, it sounds awfully organic to me. So, while she was giving the rest of the tour, I climbed up 3 decks. And I saw a quartet playing. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I didn't finish. And then they start to tell me, because I said, I didn't, you know, Erica, well, excuse me, I won't say her name, but
you said it.
Yeah, sorry,
You said it.
I said,
Too late
you know,
now.
the lady who given us the tour told us that she's never heard this music before. They look at it and go, she's the one that rents us the room. What do you mean? But moving forward, we saw it, because one of the reports was that these covers would pull down off of a bed. And so we start to see, we go into this room and we review our footage and we see...
Well, we made sure that the bed was all tucked in before. Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
We did. We made sure it was tucked in and perfect. Put
Set
a
up the
camera on
camera,
it.
right.
That's exactly right. Thank you. And all of a
Bless you.
sudden, while we are reviewing our footage, we got so excited. We literally high-fived.
Yeah,
We
we
high-fived. It's exactly. It wasn't like this. We were like, we
Yeah.
jumped for it.
Almost missed, yeah.
Almost missed, yeah. But we went. You know, we were so excited. And I'm on the walkie-talkie. You guys won't believe it, because we literally saw the sheets and the comforter being pulled back off of the bed on our footage, and I couldn't believe it. And all of a sudden, I hear Tango just going, "Wait, wait, wait," and right then I was like, "What?" And he was able to
Sad.
find. It was sad.
We're so excited.
We were so excited, and he literally saw a jump.
It was a quick little blip. Just the covers were kind of like tossed around, and then it was like, boop, and that was it. That's all I saw. And it actually happened when I was rewinding the footage. You saw it was actually more obvious that way.
That's absolutely, yeah. And then what was interesting is once he showed me that, I was already crushed, you know, because we were so excited. And then really being kicked while you're down, you know, and then we could actually hear what they were doing. You know, you could hear them pressing pause and record. And so what they would do is they would go over, pause the camera, you know, roll it back an inch or two, go back, press record, go back, and roll it down an inch or two.
Yeah.
Somehow they were able to do all this when we were...
We were doing something else.
We were probably at California Shakes. We were probably at the Shake place. We could have saved ourselves a lot of trouble. But no, we
wanted to leave.
We did.
We wanted to say, screw this investigation.
Yeah.
But being professional. And Jay and Grant were like, guys, I know, you know, this sucks, but
Yeah.
this place really could be haunted. Even if these people are trying to pull something, I know you don't want to give them the satisfaction, but we're in this for the right reasons, so let's just really investigate. And he was like, you know what? That's why you're the leader. That's
Yeah,
why.
exactly. That's why, I mean, they were very good at sort of pulling us together when we would encounter those sort of scenarios. But yeah, that does happen. And it's crazy that people try to pull one over on us.
Have you seen the show? We're going to find out.
Yeah, we're going to find out. But that comes down to the disproving and our method. You know, we were able to figure that out. But if we didn't have that in our the front of our minds, perhaps you wouldn't have caught that as quickly, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But Jay and Grant did pull us together, and they've done that a few times. Out of the places we've been, what are some of your favorites? You can just, and we'll get to, you know, we have some video to show you. Oh,
He's ready to go.
Right out the gate, yeah.
Waverly!
Yeah, Waverly Hills. Wow.
Yes, that's your favorite.
That is
Pretty
my
much.
all-time favorite place. For those of you who don't know, and we actually have some footage we're going to show you from this place, a tuberculosis hospital turned sanatorium. Terrible thing. 60,000 people died, and they actually have what they affectionately call the death chute, where they would literally throw bodies down it because there were so many they couldn't keep up with the disposal. So they built a tunnel. It was a ramp. Just throw the bodies down, and the bodies would end up in the back of a truck, a dump truck. They'd literally take them and incinerate the bodies because they couldn't keep up with it. It's terrible, you know. People say that we're regressing but I mean, at least nowadays they write your name down or something. You know, this person back now, back then they're just throw them in a. Jeez. But anyway, okay. Waverly Hills. Where else? Is there some places?
St. Augustine Lighthouse.
Oh,
That's a good one.
It's insane.
Ireland, yep.
Oh gosh.
He wasn't there.
Hold on, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
It's a fun game.
It's a fun game. I heard St. Augustine Lighthouse. I actually heard Eastern State Penitentiary.
Eastern State.
Cashtown Inn.
Cashtown Inn. Oh, that place.
Yep.
Well, let's go back to Eastern State really quick. You know, let me tell them the Academy story.
Sure.
Because that's pretty cool.
Okay.
When we investigated Eastern State Penitentiary, Tango and I, we did a show called Ghost Hunters Academy. And thank you very much. Yeah. And we left Ghost Hunters for 5 episodes each season that we filmed that. And so here we are on Ghost Hunters Academy, and we're walking through Eastern State. Now, rewind 10 years. 10 years prior to that, we filmed there, Ghost Hunters, right? And this place was dilapidated. It was, you know, it isn't like it is now where you see and there, you know, it's beautiful and it's pristine in all the hallways. Stuff was crumbling, stuff was everywhere. And what actually happened is we would take notes. You know, we always took notes, log notes. We need to know what's happening, what's in our tapes. And we're taking these notes, and Grant was, you know, one of the founders of TAPS. Well, there's only 2 people who don't know, but just for those 2 people, Grant is one of was one of our leaders. Sadly, he left the show, but back then he drew on the notes a little leprechaun and whatever, because he's an artist.
You
too.
always did that.
Always did that. And so it was a yellow piece of paper with those notes, the leprechaun, and everything. So now, that's it. We leave. You know, we go back 8 years later with Ghost Hunters Academy, and now they've gone through 4 or 5 renovations, all kinds of stuff. Really, they've really cleaned it up, hauled stuff out, done all of this stuff to the building, and we're walking around now. This is 8 years later, just me and Tango, and you saw it happen. This was crazy to me. You saw it happen. I'm just walking, like myself, walking with what we call the cadets on that show. And all of a sudden, something on my shoe. What is this? And I'm like, oh, I pick it off, and I unfold it, and it's that yellow piece of paper with the notes on it, with Grant's leprechaun and everything.
What are the chances?
What are the chances? Right. I mean, to say it's paranormal, I'm not sure, but to survive all of that and then end up on my shoe, of all people, it seems crazy to me. You know,
it is crazy.
But it was that, with the notes and everything, and I just think about that. I just think how, you know, it's hard not to believe in coincidences but I mean, how could it?
Everything was clean.
Everything
the whole place was
clean.
clean. But that was on your shoe.
That survived. I'm convinced somebody that works there was like threw it as I walked by. See if it sticks to his shoe.
Worked out perfectly.
That was Grant there.
Oh yeah. Grant, yeah. Stick this to him. Where else? I heard somebody's.
Burlington County Prison.
Burlington County Prison.
Yeah. That place was really fun. Not too far from here. How far away is?
An hour from us then? About an hour? Was that your first episode with us? It was my father's here, by the way, if nobody knows, he's right here. VIP. If it wasn't for him, I would not exist. So don't get too excited. Yeah, don't get too excited. So that was his first episode with us, and then we've had many more with him, but yeah, that was fun. Got to boss you around a little bit just for the day. And we got home, you know, everything turned back to normal. So.
For a day, Mr. Bruce Tango was not the boss.
Did you ever see the lighthouse also?
Which lighthouse? Absecon?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's not too far from here. One thing that I loved about that, which was crazy for us, is we were there in a crazy storm. And you remember sitting up there, it's literally swaying. And we're like, what do we do? Can we stay in here?
And I don't know how you did it.
It was terrifying. But you know what it was? The storm made it okay. Because I just kept feeling like Scooby-Doo or whatever. Honestly, I was just like... And speaking of, we had a dog for a little while with us. Her name was Maddie. Beautiful, beautiful animal. But I remember at one point, Jay pulled us aside. You'll remember this. Jay Hawes, founder of TAPS and you know, even Ghost Hunters, actually. Pulls us aside and has a meeting. And he's like, all right, guys, here's the deal. We have a dog now, this and that. He said, but the last thing I want is for people to think we're some kind of Scooby-Doo outfit running around. And everybody just looked at him, and she's like, well, we're a bunch of like investigators running around in a van with a dog. I have red hair. Grant sometimes wears an ascot. I was like, how can we not look like Scooby-Doo? But I took that as a compliment of the highest caliber, actually. I mean, if you think about it, but I don't know. They're busy doing it. I thought that was very funny, though. Where else, please? Sloss Furnace.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. For those of you who don't know, we've been in the fortunate position of becoming friends with a lot of people of notoriety that we otherwise wouldn't have been associated with.
That was very well put. That was some good English. Right?
Thank you. I am in a library. I feel like I should be studious. Thank you.
We've become friendly with people. That's
we've become friendly with people that we wouldn't otherwise. Like Alice Cooper, you know, different people come up to us and, oh my gosh, I love your shit, and it blows our minds. You know,
they know our names. Like, oh.
Right, they know our names. We were at a table signing at a convention, and Alice Cooper walks in, and we're like, okay, he's got cops around him. We're like, that's crazy. And we think he's just passing through. You know, we must listen to him, look at him. Are we allowed to look at him? I don't know. And then all of a sudden he turns and he goes, Tango! Steve, my boys, I have to come find you and meet you. And he's like telling us all of this crazy stuff. And his wife's like, he won't even do golf tournaments on the nights your show's on. And then Tango runs into him in
twice
airports.
At the airport. The same thing, Tango! I'm like, who is that?
Yeah.
It's Alice Cooper, you know.
It's crazy. And when Alice Cooper says something, people go bonkers. I was signing at a convention once, and Alice Cooper was playing a show down the street and heard that I was there and sent somebody to come find me. And I must have had 40 people running around. Alice Cooper's looking for you. Get out of here now. Go, go. It turned into chaos. I mean, none of that has anything to do with Sauce Furnace, but I'm getting to the point is, on this particular case, we were lucky enough to have Meatloaf with us. And Tango, I didn't know this at the time, but he's one of your favorite singers. You're super fan.
Yeah.
You should have told him. He probably would have given you free tickets.
I was nerding out now.
I remember that. He was kind of like freaking out, like, Dave, you're right. He's like, dude, Meatloaf's like one of my favorite people on the planet. I was like, well, go say hi to him. He's like,
me too.
What do you mean? But what was surreal about that, and this was at Sauce Furnace, is he was such a fan. It was crazy. He knew my cats' names. He was throwing fake spiders at me. The whole thing. It's true. He really was. But the thing that was awesome about him is I'm sleeping. Obviously, there's a knock on my door. I think it's housekeeping. I don't go away. I'm sleeping. It's 8 in the morning. I was up till 2 a.m. working, of course, you know. Still going. So finally I get up. I'm a little mad. Not mad. I don't get mad at this, you know, but like, oh gosh, now I have to go. It's, you know, open the door and it's Meatloaf. Let's go. What do you mean? Get the boys. What are you talking about? We're going go-karting. I'm like, what do you mean? It's 9 in the morning. Get your coffee. Let's go. And sure enough, we got everybody together, and we didn't even know this.
Cool.
It was so cool.
And he beat us.
He did. Well, we didn't know this, but he rented the whole place out just on a whim, and had even the ice cream stand, like he had them open early for us or whatever. And we get there, and we all sit down. And if you remember, the first thing he says, he looks back at us, we're all in our go-karts, he looks back and he just goes, by the way, I went to race car school, and then he takes off. But we didn't know this, he had them fiddle with the thing beforehand. Because there's a governor, you can only go so fast. And so he just went, we're all like way behind. That was, what's happening here? What? She's like, I thought the ad said Ghost Adventures. I'm out of here. I'm just kidding, obviously. It's just fun to poke. But yeah, Meatloaf, and if you remember also, Dave, because when it's lunchtime, at least for me and Dave, it's lunchtime. And we're in Tap's van eating lunch. And Meatloaf, every 10 minutes, let's go, guys! Let's go! On the window, like, we're eating lunch, no time for lunch! He just wanted to go in.
Yeah.
If you remember.
It was nuts, man. It was crazy.
His first time with us, he was so excited.
Kid in the candy store.
He was like a kid in the candy store, but if you remember, we're like, okay, Meatloaf, here's your gear, we gave him a camera. We were about to tell him what's up or whatever, and he just was so excited, he just turned around and ran as fast as he could towards the building, tripped over stuff, fell over, rolled down, banged his head.
Broke the camera.
He broke the camera.
He can, though, he's alive.
Well, yeah, it is Meatloaf. He was literally like, I can get you 40 of them. What do you think of that? I am Meatloaf. But,
Love that voice, by the way. Spot on.
That's not my Meatloaf voice. Anybody recording it, please don't send it to him. Look at Steve's Meatloaf impression.
My Meatloaf.
Terrible, yeah. But you know what's super nice is he eventually pulled us aside and said, from this point forward, fellas, you can only call me Meat. Don't ever call me Meatloaf. But he said, that's what my friends and family call me. My name is Meat. My friends and family, it's
official.
It's official. And he only follows like 6 people on Twitter, and one of them's Tango.
Yeah.
He doesn't follow
I don't do
me.
anything. I never tweet. But
Yeah.
he's on there.
Yeah. Weird.
And
Sloth
secret.
Furnace. Yeah.
Oh no, Sloth Furnace.
Right. Well, if you have another meatloaf story, if you have another one.
No, that's all of them.
Okay, that's all. Are you sure? I feel like
Pretty
there's
sure.
more. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at Sloth Furnace, this place, because you mentioned it, you know, we did see what we believe, and we actually have a bunch of evidence, not from Sloth Furnace, but some pretty fun videos, I think, that, and we're going to have to, we'll dim these lights and stuff, but, and we have some voices to play for you too, what we call EVPs. A lot of fun stuff. But getting back to Sloth Furnace, we thought that we had seen, if you remember, it was a dark apparition.
Mm-hmm.
And they caught it on video too. Amy
Yeah, I
had
do
it.
remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Just sort of like walking across, and we kept seeing it, just seeing it walking back and forth.
We kept hearing walking too, you and me.
We kept
A lot of
hearing-
walking.
Absolutely
On
right.
the stones.
Yeah.
The gravel.
We did. That's right. I
A
forgot
lot
about
of stuff
that.
going on there.
Yeah.
It's cool.
That place was awesome. Man.
Should go
Fort
back.
Delaware.
Fort Delaware.
Fort
Whoa,
Delaware.
man. Yep. Fort Delaware was beautiful. What did we capture at Fort Delaware?
And we got some stuff there.
Yeah, we got a lot at Fort Delaware.
Hell of a setup. Anytime it's a fort, it's like, oh boy, it's humongous.
Yeah.
You know.
It gets taxing. And if you remember, that's where they came up to us, IHOP, Internet. This is at Fort Delaware. They're like, we want you to do a commercial for
Oh my
IHOP. We're going to have fall pancakes and all this stuff. And they wanted us to sit down with the waitress and pretend this and that. And then they're like, no, we're not going to do it anymore. But it was in our contract, so we still got paid, so whatever.
All right.
I was like, all right, we'll skip this, I guess. But anyway, okay, more places. Just a
Snug
few.
Harbor.
What is it?
Snug Harbor.
Snug Harbor.
Snug Harbor.
Snug
I
Harbor.
remember Snug Harbor.
Yeah,
We
Staten
got-
Island.
In Staten Island?
Yeah.
Snug Harbor. That sounds familiar to me.
Doesn't
though.
sound familiar.
What about
No.
St. Andrew's Church?
St. Andrew's Church.
Navy
Was that-
Hill.
Sir, I'm sorry, but that is
Southern
not ringing a bell.
Southern Mansion?
Yeah.
Oh,
Cape
yeah.
May?
We've been there for sure. Southern
Yep.
Mansion. Awesome place.
Fort Mifflin?
Oh, Fort
Yeah.
Mifflin.
Places.
Fort Mifflin, that's not too far from here, in Philadelphia, right? And
Gettysburg.
if you don't know, at Fort Mifflin, you can stand at the edge and actually see Fort Delaware. And vice versa, if you stand at Fort Delaware, you can see Fort Mifflin. But a little Tango story from Fort Mifflin, which is kind of funny. Tango, you know, very brave, like you wouldn't believe, very, very brave. But unlike me, yes, it is true. Well, I can be brave. Not you're referring to spiders, I'm sure. Real nice. In heights, yeah. Okay. You got me.
An airplane.
And no, I love cats. I'm not afraid of cats. How dare you? So, there's a casemate, right? You go way down underground, and they had just opened it. This place, for those of you who don't know, Fort Mifflin is a fort, a Civil War fort, and you know, they claim that there are some spirits there, soldiers, and that sort of thing. And we are investigating it, and what actually happened is the groundskeeper, he's like, I got it, no problem. But the groundskeeper was just mowing the lawn. His name's Wayne.
Wayne, yeah.
And actually, a real quick Wayne story. Wayne is the groundskeeper of Fort Mifflin. But you remember that time, we'd go and investigate there, and he would light the cannon for us. And it was a big cannon, like it's a real cannon. And one night he may have had a little too much to drink. He kept saying, more gunpowder, get it in there, more gunpowder.
Like,
And he
oh, man.
lit it, boom, the whole thing blew him back. That one was awful. Okay, but anyway, that's Wayne.
That's our Wayne story.
That's how we can set up Wayne for you. But anyway, Wayne is you know, mowing the lawn, and the lawnmower actually fell into the ground. And it was 2 days before we got there, and he had somebody go, and they dug, and it was a casemate where they would have prisoners of war go down and hide and that sort of thing. And when we investigated, it was literally just a dirt hole and a ladder sticking down for people to go up and down. It's not like if you go to Fort Mifflin now, it's all beautiful and open.
Yeah, it was narrow then.
It was very narrow.
Hard to get out.
Hard to get out, yep. And so what actually happened is that they let us investigate it, first people ever, which was quite an honor. And
Yeah, we always like that when we hear
right, we always like that, to be the first, you know. it's always important in this field, because then we get to set the bar and not let anyone else kind of muddle up things. But so Tango has this chance to go down there. Everybody was going down there alone. Chris Williams went down for like, an hour and a half, and then she started to feel a little antsy and came out. And I went down for a while, and it just kind of got a little boring, so I came up. And I'm walking through the courtyard of Fort Mifflin, and I see Tango's head down. And he's just down. And I thought he was a little sad, so I sit down next to him. Tango, what's up, buddy? Are you okay? He's like, I really let myself down. I'm like, what's wrong? And he's like, well, I didn't stay in the casemate as long as I'd like to. I was like, it's fine, man. And it had been a few hours since I saw him. And he was like, yeah, I was, Chris Williams was down there for like 2 or 3 hours. And he was like, I was down there for like 1 or 2, and I expected him to say hours. He's like, I was down there for like 1 or 2 minutes. 1 or 2 minutes? What are you talking about?
Just couldn't do it. So weird.
Man,
First time and last time I did that.
Yeah, that's true. That's the only time he actually...
It's crazy.
Speaking of going into places that we are allowed to go to, and this might be a little unsettling for some people, but at Waverly Hills there are morgue drawers, right? And we had the bright idea of putting ourselves in the morgue drawers, and
I'm glad we did that.
I'm glad we did. And we rolled ourselves in and closed the door. And it was absolutely soundproof in there. I remember we tested it, and Tango was banging on the side of it with a crutch that we found. And from inside, you couldn't hear.
Someone needed that crutch.
Somebody, yeah, where's my crutch? And now it's in the thing. But, so it was soundproof in there, and we went in and brought our cameras and rolled ourselves in and had the, the doors closed and everything. We stayed in there for a good hour and a half, which I'm not claustrophobic, luckily, but still, that's, right there. And we couldn't move or really talk to each other much, but we asked some questions, we did some different things. And when we were listening to the evidence, we heard a voice come through.
A female voice.
A female voice.
Yeah. Clear.
Very, very clear.
You can't get any more controlled than that in a box. No sounds outside. It's in there with you. And it's just 2 guys.
Right. And that's important. We are not scientists, but pseudo. Well, I guess we are, because definition, anybody seeking an answer is technically a scientist. Not that I would call myself a scientist in any way, shape, or form, but as Tango mentioned, the best way is to have that controlled environment, and that was as controlled as we could get. And I'm positive that no voice could penetrate that. And
we tested it.
We tested it, and to have that voice come through was pretty awesome. But
what'd she say?
What did she say?
Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not
Wow,
a it's a problem.
I heard it was a female voice.
It's a great story, but that's the problem with this opening part is I never know what people are going to say or talk about, so I don't know.
Well, that's what makes it fun for us,
That's,
though.
yeah, that's true.
It's nice to get curveballs sometimes.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
Yeah, real nice. Just kidding. But that place, if you ever get a chance to go to Waverly Hills, it's awesome. But Fort Mifflin is where that started. Yeah, Fort Mifflin, beautiful, beautiful place. I'm actually going, oh, real quick, out of everybody here, who are actually investigators? Oh, that's great, awesome. I met a few nice fellas who were investigators, local guys. Yeah, right back there. That's awesome. I like when investigators come and hang out with us, because that means we're doing something right.
Right, yeah.
If the investigators didn't come out, we'd be like, oh gosh, yes. But, yeah. All right, you know what? We're going to get into some video, some audio, and really start this thing. And we'll take time to take some questions at the end there, but we're going to get rid of these lights up here so you can see. Thank you, buddy. Let's get them all down if we can, or as much as we can. Yeah. Oh, hey now. We might actually sit down for this part, I'm sorry, because we have to cue the video.
Here, I'll switch.
This side here. All right. Let's get out of here. All right. You want to Jay? Jay's like, that was great, man. Tango. It was like I was underwater. I can't breathe.
Suffocating.
So yeah, I guess the payback is I deserved.
Rancid.
Oh man. Could we get some lights up? Let's get to some questions, because we got about 10 minutes left. Anybody have any questions about us, what we do, anything that you saw or didn't see, or smelled in that respect. Madam?
No, I don't.
Well, you raised your hand.
Karate chopped
Were
your
you
back.
checking how you smell? She's like, I was like, any questions? She's just kind of like, I don't know. Yes, you have a question. Okay. What is your question then?
My question is, there was an episode where Jason...
You have to be on the mic, because how's everybody going to hear you?
There was an episode where Jason was speaking to a child, an 8-year-old. And the spirit was very communicative, and it was a hotel. And this is gonna sound stupid, but it went to break and you guys never got back to it and you didn't present it in evidence.
Is that when he asked a child to go home with him? Is that,
No,
he asked the boy spirit?
He said he wouldn't mind, but he wasn't. He was visibly shaken.
Yeah.
It really was upsetting him. But nothing was presented in evidence, nothing, and I was just wondering.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it wasn't presented in evidence. I do know that with this child spirit he was interacting with, he did invite it to go home with him. And nothing came of it, nothing happened, that sort of thing. But you have a good memory, because that was a long time
That was
ago.
one of my favorite episodes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And don't be afraid for the microphone. You use big words like communicative, and that's
It was impressive. It was good.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want the microphone, and then she drops all these big
I
words.
also like your shenanigans.
Thank you. We have
Thank you.
shenanigans. Tango, anybody you want to?
Over here.
I don't need the microphone, I'm pretty loud, but I just want to know if you guys are going to get
As she grabs
together
onto the
to come
microphone,
out.
pulls it closer. I don't need this. Let me have my moment. Let me
I
just.
talk in this room a lot on the microphone, but are you guys ever coming back to TV? We miss you.
Thank you for missing us. And yes, we will. It's going to be a little while, but we are coming back.
We shall return.
We shall return. Shall return.
Madam in the red there, the maroon. Yep. Yes, you, the one holding red, wearing maroon, with her hand up.
What's the scariest thing you've ever saw?
The scariest thing we've ever seen. Ooh, well, this story. There's kids in this room.
Anytime anyone ever asks that,
All right.
it was Steve with his pants off.
Well, it's not what you think.
It's not what you think. She looks very disappointed.
Yeah, no. Well, we have to analyze all of our evidence, right? So, Tango was coming by my room to get some evidence to review, and we're bantering back and forth for a moment or two, talking, laughing. But I'm kind of, like this behind the door, just opening the door, handing him tapes.
The door was cracked open.
Door was cracked open, and after a minute or two, Tango's just like, "Hey man, are you wearing white pants?" I said, "No, I don't have any pants on." He's like, "Oh, there's a mirror behind you!" And I've been staring at this mirror the whole time.
Oh, the image, I can't get it out.
Oh, but I love that. I love that so much. But to answer your question, luckily this stuff doesn't scare us. But
It's more exciting.
exciting, startling, that sort of thing. But I can rephrase that question, and for us, was the most exciting, right, or the most active, that sort of thing. For me, Waverly Hills in Louisville, Kentucky. Every time we go, there's a high degree of activity, and it's pretty.
That's rare. Like every time you go, there's someone somewhere, something happens, which is very rare.
It's very rare. Like people think because they watch the show or they watch other shows that things happen all the time, but it's actually quite rare when things happen, and it's really about, and even the amount of cases, like each case actually lasts about 8 months. That's about the average time we put into a case. And what you saw on Ghost Hunters was really a preliminary investigation where we go, we do everything, we set up, we catch, and we do what we do, and then we always have a local team that we trust and confide in, and we hand over and let them continue and do the follow-up and the continuous investigations. But, yeah.
Lep Castle for me in Ireland. That was awesome.
I wasn't there, thanks.
Sorry, Steve.
Real nice, Dave. But you know what happened to me? As our executive producer at the time, I didn't go to Ireland. I tried to get on the plane. I don't fly. I couldn't get on the plane. I did get on the plane, but
You tried.
I tried, but the pilot, who was luckily a fan of the show, had to pull the plane over because I started screaming at the top of my lungs, "We're all going to effing die." And he was literally like, I can't even take off if I wanted to, so. And I knew that Aer Lingus never had one passenger fatality, but my brain still tripped me up. But our executive producer at the time, he called me at like, it was like 4 in the morning or something my time, I don't know, whatever it was. And he was like, oh, this is a terrible word, but I'm not gonna say it. He was like, "Hey, it's wrong." And I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he's like, "The boys are in Ireland, you know." "Yep, I know." "You know what happened?" "What?" "Tango saw something crazy, and then Dustin got knocked over. Don't you wish you were there, a-hole?" And he hung up. I was like, "No, what is that?" But yeah, Lip Castle in Ireland for Tango.
Are you guys a fan of any other shows?
Ooh, good question.
It's a good question. Are you a fan of any other shows, Dave? Besides like Walking Dead and all that stuff. I assume you mean ghost shows.
Oh, ghost shows? Academy?
Whoa,
Okay, I'm just joking. Okay. I actually don't even watch our show.
We were there.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah. Josh Gates. You know, Destination Truth and all that stuff. Expedition Unknown. He's awesome.
Sounds like a contracted answer, but...
But it's true. No, it's honestly
It is true. And we've known Josh for quite some time. For me, I've watched a little bit. Well,
that's the answer he wants to hear.
Ghost Adventures. I've never seen a full episode, just because some of their some things are, but good friends with those guys.
We met them and we hung out. They're all great people.
First time we met Aaron, he literally got on his knees and started begging to Tango and saying, "You guys
Thanks,
are the
buddy.
Godfathers.
Awesome.
Without you, we wouldn't have a show." And,
Give me a Coke.
yeah, I met Zach last year for the first time, and we're actually friends. We talked, we hung out all weekend, and he sent me a text recently because we were supposed to be together at an event last weekend. He was like, "Dude, I'm not going to make it. I'm so sorry." And actually, how I ran into Zach, Tango, you were there. It was embarrassing for me, but I threw a water bottle into the garbage, and a $20 bill went in with it. I was like, "Oh, that sucks." So I'm reaching down in this garbage can, picking out my 20, and I just hear a voice, "Hey, Gonsalves, time's tough. You need to buy a drink." And I turn on Zach. I'm like, "Oh God, this is my introduction to you." But I've never seen a full episode. I used to watch that show, Haunting Evidence. But before, sightings, encounters, those shows I would watch like crazy. They were awesome. Tim White, all that.
It's the one with Leonard Nimoy. I used to love that show.
Monster Quest? Is that Monster Quest? No?
In Search Of.
In Search Of.
I used to love watching
Yeah. Yep. But for modern shows, I don't. No. I've seen Ghost Asylum once. Yeah.
Tanner has his hand up the whole time.
Oh, hey, buddy.
What's the best tool when you're hunting ghosts?
Wow, that's actually a good question. We should call upon kids more often. Wow. What is our favorite or best tool when we are investigating?
It's hard to say best, because I don't think we're there yet.
That's a good point.
Favorite though, I just like the video camera because it has audio and you get to document and whatever happens you could hopefully capture it. Pretty simple.
I like the thermal camera for me because it's there or it isn't. There's not much room for misinterpretation. And in our field, misinterpreting the findings is a big problem. So we try to limit that as much as we can. Tango, I want to grab that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Front there. Just ignoring her all night long.
Do you guys remember doing an episode at this yard full of these crashed train cars when you were walking through them?
Yeah, of course.
Where was
I remember
that?
that. It was awesome. That's where we took it.
It was Ohio. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, where's the question?
That's my favorite episode, and I just remember this one. What was the scariest part of that investigation to you?
The scariest part of that investigation, exciting.
You know what it was for me is, do you remember there was one actual, not car, but there was one booth where somebody was murdered in? It was an actual, sleeper car.
Right, yes.
And we were able to just lay in there and close it up and just, I stayed there for like 4 hours alone, trying to get something to happen.
Wasn't that the place where the crash happened and all the steam just
Yes, yes,
destroyed
exactly
everybody?
what it was. It's
I kept thinking
steam.
about
Oh.
that. Yes, and they all,
Yeah.
they're melted, yeah,
People got melted by hot steam.
instantly.
You
So
imagine
hopefully
that?
they didn't really feel anything, but I don't know.
Man.
Steam just went
Yes,
in
awful.
the car.
Tango, I have a gentleman here. Sir?
Steve, pleasure meeting you again. And in answer to the young boy's question, as an investigator, I would say the most important equipment would be an EVP recorder. You will get the most answers out of that. But I want to ask you guys, when you do your investigations, have you ever had anything follow you home? Have you ever experienced that?
That's a good question also. Luckily for me, no. I value sleep, and I would rather visit it than have it come with me.
It's okay though if it does.
It's okay if it does, yeah. Nothing to be afraid of. But Tango, has anything ever followed you home?
No, no.
Okay.
You could tell.
Yeah. If people ask us all the time, like, what do you do to protect yourself from that sort of thing? And I don't do anything. I'm Roman Catholic, so something is particularly nasty, if we're dealing with something maybe inhuman, I may call, upon St. Christopher or St. Michael or St. Jude, because I'm traveling back, whatever. But that's it for me.
Miss?
What do you say to somebody who thinks everything you do is fake?
Get lost.
I don't blame them, I always tell them it's actually not a bad way to think, because we also think that way. Unfortunately, they think if we're faking things, that's on them, but we're not. I just tell them it's, you have a good head on your shoulders, and to kind of, have an open mind. Still have an open mind, be an open-minded skeptic. Skeptics are good in this field, we need more of them. So I don't hate that person. Steve?
Yeah, I think that's a very important mindset to have. For instance, I trust Tango with my life. I would die from tomorrow or kill for him. Well, maybe not kill, not kill him. But I would,
Got a little crazy there.
Right, got a little crazy. But I would,
nuts.
that sort of thing, that amount of trust. But even when he comes up to me, where I go up to him and
Vice
say,
versa, yeah.
hey, this is what we experienced, or this is what I saw a head, or I saw a face. It's so hard to believe in that sort of thing that I need to see it with my
I believe
eyes.
you think you saw something, no matter what. I'm not, you know
Of
what I mean?
course, I wouldn't lie to you.
Right, of course,
obviously.
right.
Yeah.
But we'd have to be there. It's just
Yeah.
the way it is. Yeah.
So that's an important mindset to have. I think you shouldn't believe in anything unless you experience it or see it for yourself. For instance, I don't believe in psychics or mediums at all, not for 1 minute second. Just because it hasn't been proven to me in any capacity. Even though I have very close friends, who I love and trust dearly, I don't think they would ever fit to me, but I don't know. For me, until I see it or experience it, it's hard for me to grasp. Young lady.
Do you believe in like other stuff like unicorns and like UFOs?
Unicorns for sure.
Well, I did notice you stole some unicorn fur. Jeez, Tango, do you believe in unicorns?
UFO, well, unicorns, no, unfortunately. But
How about
UFOs, I do think there's stuff out there. I think there's more stuff going on.
I believe in UFOs, and as you might know, NASA has just hired 2 planetary protection officers. That's pretty cool. So they must have got some sort of
reason for that.
There's a reason for that. Well, there has been a woman there for 8 years, and she has said that it's more to protect other planets from us, our microbes, and if we're going to space, how we can protect that sort of thing.
Sure.
I know, sure. We were actually at
Ready for the
Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. I'm going to do that so you can't use this part. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and they told us about all this stuff they have, and they brought us and showed us
Things that you should not
things
see.
that they were like, nobody can explain what this is. It's not in our compounds, and scientists have, that was pretty awesome that they trusted us with that. They also showed us a laser that same trip that blew up a cinder block. It was pretty crazy.
Pretty awesome.
Like, that'll be on our jets in 10 years. We're like, no. Star Wars, X-Wing fighters. Did we answer that question?
I think so.
Did we did?
Yeah.
Madam, we did? Oh, wait! Tango, this has nothing to do with it, but something really cool that's almost unicorn related that I never thought was ever possible. This is in Utah. You were with me, which is It's amazing. The rainbow.
Oh, yeah.
And you can do this. I didn't think you could, but apparently you can. We were driving down the highway in Utah, me, Tango, and both of our sound guys at the time, this guy Mike and Sully. And we noticed in the highway, there's a rainbow way long down the, and we said, oh cool, it's beautiful, really thick and gorgeous, just like, pink, all the whole thing. No, there's no pink in a rainbow, whatever the 5 colors. Omniprismatic, all right, okay. So, as we're getting closer, we're saying, is that rainbow going right over the highway? Impossible, that never happens, because everyone would have the gold, right? But clearly it doesn't happen. So, as we get close, we do notice that we are most certainly going to go through the rainbow. And I swear to you, all 4 of us saw it and talk about it to this day because it was so beautiful.
4 dudes.
4 dudes, and dudes with tattoos, and would rather not be having this experience together. But for about 1 second, everything, and I swear it was sparkly.
Yeah.
And you could see in the car, like, every single color of the rainbow at the same
I
time.
thought it was like an illusion. I didn't know it was like right there.
It was, right when we drove through, everything got all sparkly. We could literally look around, and we were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Look at this. Can you believe it?
It was magical.
And it was magical. And our sound guy at the time was like, he's a bit, and he looks like he's not afraid to, and he was almost like, he was like, I might cry. This is pretty beautiful.